to today's Twitter Space, YouTube Live. We're doing it a day early, simply because tomorrow is public holiday here in Singapore. And yeah, just for the entire team and so on, we're just doing it today, but shouldn't make much of a difference. We have a few exciting topics to share. We're going to talk about the current markets, Bitcoin, crypto pumping, but shocker, ETF outflows, massive record outflow, like not record outflows, but pretty big outflows. How is this possible? We're going to analyze this. We have Jamie Dimon coming out and saying, hey, we may see interest rates of 8%, so way higher than where we are right now. We have gold pumping like crazy. That makes Fabio happy because he is secretly a Bitcoin and gold bug. So he's happy about this. And yeah, we do have obviously a lot of talk around Ethereum, potential ETF. We have the halving hype or the lack thereof, or the fear of, well, it's going to be merely a buy the rumor, sell the news. And we have Fabio who's going to do a deep dive in what's happening in DeFi chain land. So we have quite a few exciting things going on. Fabio, how are you? I thought I'm going to pull up a chart just to trigger you a little bit, or like a little graph. How does that make you feel?
Julian pulled up a Peter Schiff tweet, and
two
just for
tweets.
everybody listening in on Twitter, he basically said a tweet. So far, Q2 2024, silver up almost 9%, gold up 3.5%, Bitcoin down 7%. The results speak for themselves. And just a funny side note, I saw that tweet, and the top answer below that tweet is, now do the numbers for Q1. And Peter Schiff's response to that was, this is ancient history. Nobody cares. He's funny. You have to give it
funny.
to them.
It's legendary. Oh, that's great. Yeah, so I just wanted to start with that. How's everything? How are we doing? How is community? Give us a bit of an overview. What's happening right now?
I'm definitely excited for Q2. It's a first time that we broke all-time highs before the halving, and we have the halving in it's 10, 11 day-ish away, depending on time zones, and of course there is a bit of a margin of error. Last time I checked, it was around midnight European time, so and that's next Friday in a week. Super excited about that and the impact it's going to have. And as you said, we saw very different takes when it comes to the economy. Going from we will see higher interest rates to people that expect the Fed to lower 3 times this year, and it's definitely extremely exciting times. Also, the just maybe to put things broadly before we go into the details, it's also kind of exciting to watch what is happening in the broader crypto market. So one or two things to highlight, and of course we're going to touch on that a bit deeper within the next 1 hour, is that still Bitcoin is holding up quite nicely below its all-time highs, even though we saw ETFs outflows, and the altcoin market hasn't really picked up the steam that many would have expected when you asked people like a year ago or so, and you said, okay, Bitcoin is holding up just above its all-time high in the $70,000 range. A lot of people would probably have said, okay, then Bitcoin dominance is below 50%, ETH is starting to outperform, altcoins are starting to outperform, and this is not the case currently. Like Bitcoin dominance even picked up slightly and is currently holding at a bit over 54%. When the turnaround will be, I don't know. I would be very much interested in your take on what's happening to the broader crypto market.
I think on the broader market in general, it's just been I think it's been very narrative driven. Let's be very clear. I think Bitcoin has been winning in that narrative with the ETF. I think so far Ethereum did well in the first half of Q1, and then in the second half of Q1 it didn't do so well because there a bit of the fear of no ETF in May kind of came up. I think the AI coins did really well, the meme coins did really well, and as soon as this narrative hits something, then it's been fantastic. But if a coin hasn't been part of that narrative, it has been it really got hit and it really been punished. I mean, right now I just see this with Cardano, for example. And look, I'm very neutral to Cardano. I don't want to badmouth. I don't want to hype Cardano, but Cardano is getting a lot of flack at the moment for dropping out of the top 10. People are really, really angry, and it's just that Cardano hasn't fit one of those narratives, right? That's kind of been going on, and so Solana has really been benefited from the meme coin narrative, and other coins really on the AI kind of narrative, and I mean yeah. So a top 10 coin here really kind of gets slaughtered, and yeah, I think it really depends on that. And so I think maybe, I mean, I also want to point out one thing here, right? This is also obviously in a bit of a maturing market as well. In a market that just gets more solid, you do have like it's not that just everything goes up, everything goes down. It's like you do have those cases where something can do really well, sometimes cannot do so well. So I think maybe also the concept of altcoins is gonna, I don't know, kind of flaky out a bit. Where sure, I get it, Bitcoin altcoins, it may be that it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, and altcoins, or something in that kind of sense, right? And I think that's also a bit of a key thing. So that's just what I see at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. So look, I have many conversations privately and also online on Twitter, on Telegram, and so on. And one thing I just don't really understand is if you're moving in this market, and if you have been around for a year or more, or 2 years, 3 years. I think it is just irresponsible not to hold the blue chips. Like, if you're participating in this industry, you need to hold some Bitcoin, you need to hold some ETH, and all the other things are very narrative driven. A lot of people make the case that that Solana is establishing itself, or really putting some competition on the table. I'm not sure. You've mentioned Cardano, which obviously was top 10 coin, I think, since 2017. But I wouldn't be so sure on the others. But at least the top two, and I encounter many people that they don't own Bitcoin, they don't own Ethereum, they're fully in, let's say, in narratives, or in small cap coins. And I wouldn't see this as I don't know, very sustainable investment strategy. Uh, but this is just my take, because there is much more certainty around Bitcoin, around Ethereum, especially now that we have the ETFs and we kind of have this public validation, at least for Bitcoin, and probably at the end of the year also for Ethereum. Um, and yeah, everything else is still up for grabs. Like, there is a lot of competition when it comes to everything. It doesn't matter if it's scaling AI, layer twos, layer ones, smart contracts. There's everything else is still, the race is still on, and we will see. But it's definitely further down the risk curve. Maybe the one topic, I would love to add something. You mentioned in the beginning the ETF outflows, and I asked myself, so it's sometimes it's hard to say who's actually buying these ETFs. And I saw
Yeah.
a very interesting take from Willy Woo, and he said, if you compare the CME futures and the ETFs, you probably can make the assumption that a lot of hedge funds hedge their positions and buy and sell the
Of course.
ETF, and a lot of outflows are probably due to hedge funds basically, hedging their
Exiting.
bets and exiting.
Yeah.
While
I
a
mean, I have
lot
that
of
same bet on. I have that same bet on, right? And I mean, there's a lot of people you can do similar bets as well. For
Can you
example, the
illustrate on
long.
how that bet works?
Yeah, so there's a couple of bets you can do at the moment. One is long Bitcoin, short MicroStrategy, right? So that's also an interesting bet. So you go basically, and all you bet on is that the premium in MicroStrategy goes down. And if you have done, I actually I have this bet ongoing, and I've made shit lots of money in the last whatever 2 weeks on that bet. So it doesn't. You're not against Bitcoin here, right? You actually you just say that there's too much premium in MicroStrategy. And it could easily be that the MicroStrategy price goes up. What you're saying is you're saying that the premium between Bitcoin and MicroStrategy narrows, right? So that's the bet you're making. So that's a key. And so that is a bet I actually have on, and I made tons of money here in the last 2 weeks. That's the way you kind of do this. If you do this on a proper broker, you would go long the ETF. You don't go long native Bitcoin, you go long the ETF, and then you go short MicroStrategy, and you wrap this for a collateral so that you basically hedge your short position, because otherwise you suddenly have a naked short position. It's super risky to do that. So that is one thing. And so it could easily be that people are just basically exiting the short MicroStrategy position, which is something I've been actually thinking over the weekend for a very simple reason, because I made so much money on that bet. So I was also thinking, right? So if I would, for example, then exit that position, what that would look like is it would look like buying MicroStrategy and selling Bitcoin. That's what you would be doing. So I just want to be very clear on what this looks like. So many times you only see one side of that bet and you don't see the whole thing. The other thing is you do a cash and carry trade, which also works fantastic. I do have that on, but I didn't buy this in the last couple of days. It's a bit of a longer kind of bet where what you do is you go long Bitcoin and you short a future of Bitcoin. And so you buy Bitcoin now and you already sell it. You confirm to sell it in a future date. The risk is very, very minor, and you have a guaranteed return on your dollar. So it's a dollar bet. It's not necessarily a Bitcoin bet. And yeah, both bets, if you unwind those bets, especially when the premium goes down, so it's all about the premium. And if the premium goes down, you can exit those positions way earlier. And so exiting those positions earlier is nothing else than selling Bitcoin and buying the other thing. So that's for a lot of people just always looks, yeah, as if you someone were selling Bitcoin, but actually doesn't mean that. It's just you're exiting that delta neutral position. In the long Bitcoin short MicroStrategy, it's not delta neutral, but the delta neutral just means you actually don't really care about the price because you're hedged in both ways. So longing Bitcoin, shorting the future, you don't really take a side. You don't really make a bet on Bitcoin. You cover you just make tons of money on the premium. Very popular trade right
Interesting.
now. A lot of hedge funds
It,
do that. It's
it,
for a lot of hedge funds. I mean, I did a whole long explainer in German on that, but for a lot of funds right now, especially if you have a hurdle rate of around 10%, meaning you need to meet at least 10% in order to be able to charge your 20% performance fee. Many times of these funds have a 10% hurdle rate. So anything above 10% for these funds is like a no-brainer because they can charge this hurdle rate. The investors are happy because they are making guaranteed returns. The fund is happy. And so these, let's say on these cash and carries, you make about 15% or something. Everyone loves that.
just for anybody that is listening and hasn't checked the MicroStrategy chart, it basically went to up to the around 2000 and it had a drawdown of 25% and it's currently holding at 1400, 1500 area. So 25% is a pretty huge correction.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. So I pulled up the chart here with the flows. So yeah. I don't know. Eric Balchunas had this very funny. He made it about ARC, but it also applies here. So it's like inflow, 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 and then there's a day of outflow, and everyone cries. So he made it about ARC. So that picture is from Eric. I don't know who, if he made it. I don't know, but I stole it from his Twitter. I don't know if he made it or someone else, but yeah, one of the Bloomberg guys. So I thought it was very funny. Uh, yeah.
I think just the overall picture. I'm actually extremely bullish because it for me it's crazy that we are holding up so strong above the old all-time high before the halving and over an extensive period of time. I was more expecting, okay, maybe there is a pre-halving run-up and a sharp correction afterwards, as we saw in 2020 and we saw in I think also 2016 or 15. Like in the last bull run, of course, there was this one coin thing that basically pulled us from 4K to 14K, and then we had the COVID correction before the halving. But I was expecting maybe we have a sharp run up before the halving and then a correction, but the correction, more than 20%, we haven't gotten a correction of more than 20%. So there's actual capital on the sideline, and makes me actually extremely bullish. So yeah.
Yeah. There is, I mean, one thing, I mean, okay, let's talk halving versus the macro for Bitcoin. I think Raul Paul pulled up this chart. Let me just pull it up. I think it's from Raul Paul. If I credit this to the wrong guy, then please just let me know. It's this macro state dashboard. I thought this is from Raul Paul. Here it says source Bloomberg, but I thought that was from Raul Paul. Don't know. He has this liquidity dashboard where he says Bitcoin is driven by global liquidity. We've discussed this so many times. and he talks about the four large balance sheets. Obviously, there's the Fed, the Bank of China, Bank of Japan, and the European Central Bank. Then he talks about obviously global money supply. He talks about the 10-year interest rates. He talks about the volatility. He talks about the dollar. Um, the thing is here a bit that at the moment, this all is not too bullish. It's actually relatively bearish, but still Bitcoin is doing well. So some people, I'm not saying everyone, but some people are saying actually it doesn't look so good right now for crypto because liquidity is getting a bit of a crunch, but the narratives around the halving, the narratives around like money printing, inflation, the geopolitical tensions, all this is so strong, and that really plays for Bitcoin. And so some people are saying we're going to see a bit of a halving hype, but afterwards we're going to see a crash. Other people are saying, look, we're going to see a halving hype, and then afterwards we're going to see even more hype because there's even less supply. How do you kind of see this a bit? Because let's be honest here, right? We're all just speculating. We're all seeing those points, and so we're all just kind of making like certain cases. How do you see that?
So first of all, I'm good either way. Like it doesn't really matter to me if we see a correction or if there is if we go straight up. Maybe I would even prefer to have correction because then I get another good entry and I basically can buy the dip. So I basically place my bets accordingly. And Julian and myself have talked about this many times. If you're here for short term speculating and for trading, you probably get wrecked. Like the statistics, the math is just stacked against you. There are so many sophisticated players in this market, and I wouldn't recommend doing short term bets. Like if you're betting of we're getting a pre halving or an after the halving correction, and you're basing your investment strategy on this, I wouldn't recommend this at all. So with that said, I was looking and expecting a breather or a correction for almost a year now. Last May, I think May or June, we got the announcement that BlackRock is looking for an ETF, and since then it's up only. The biggest correction we've got was, I think, 21%. And I think that corrections are healthy, and especially they kind of test if there is capital on the sidelines, if these dips get bought up. So I would love to see a bit more than a 21% dip, maybe 25, maybe a 30% dip, and then what kind of buying volume that is on the sideline. Of course, it's kind of bullish if we don't get more than 21% corrections. That also means that there is a lot of capital on the sidelines waiting to find an entry. But I'm not sure what to expect. We are in an election year, and we are looking. So I don't know. I don't agree with Jamie Dimon. I don't see rates going up to 8%. I'm more in the camp that the Fed is likely to cut rates. Jerome Powell even said that he gave I don't know at which university he said that. He gave a speech at a university and he hinted at 3 rate cuts this year. And just to what the Fed needs to do, just for people that maybe don't understand this, is they basically need to have real rates lower than inflation. That's how you print the debt away. That's how you get rid of the debt. So yeah, I don't know. I don't see the Fed hiking interest rate. I think they're going to lower it and keep real rates maybe 1.5-2% below inflation. At least I don't know that's what I would do. And you maybe one thing on the presidential election year, and then I really would love to hear what you have to say on this. But so many people say, Trump and Biden, that's basically the two choices we got, chicken nuggets or Big Mac. And
Well, I would rather say it's like, I don't know, it feels like spider venom or snake venom. I don't know. That's what it feels like. I don't think it's chicken nuggets or Big Mac. I feel like it's spider venom or snake venom. That's what it feels like.
But so look, basically, and this is the dumbed down version of it. If President Biden likes to run a deficit and to kind of get the debt under control with investments and spending money. And Trump likes to do the same thing, but via tax cuts. And in the end, it's the same thing. That's how they it's a different strategy, but they kind of aim for the same result. So under both presidents, I think there is going to be a higher or an inflationary environment. I think Trump would be more positive for assets for sure, but
I
yeah,
think Trump
I
would
see
definitely be
higher
better for
prices from
crypto.
here. Of
Trump would definitely be
hands
better
down.
for crypto. So if you want to have, if you're bullish crypto, you definitely want to have Trump, because I don't see any kind of like indications that Biden changes his tune on crypto. And then what's the lady Warren? What's her name? Elizabeth Warren,
Senator
right?
Elizabeth Warren, yeah.
Yeah, who has been like who is on this war path with crypto. So yeah,
But long story short, I for me maybe there is a briefer, maybe not, but I definitely foresee higher prices. This I cannot foresee. I don't think this is the top, not even near the top. We're definitely going to see higher prices in crypto. That's and I plan accordingly.
yeah.
What about you, Julian? Do you see a briefer coming post or pre-halving, and what what comes afterwards?
No, I definitely think we're gonna see. I mean, we discussed this last week. I think the more popular kind of opinion here, sure. I mean, you have the crypto bros who are like bullish only, and we're gonna see 100,000 Bitcoin and so on. I don't think that that's the scenario for me. Again, I said this last time. I understand that this is the unlikely scenario for me, but it seems a bit of a popular scenario, obviously, in the crypto space. I just think we're going to see a bit of a sideways struggle here. It's a bit of a choppy kind of thing, a bit up, a bit down. I do think people have massive gains from here. I mean, a lot of people that, like we talked on the show here for years, we can really say years, dollar cost average, dollar cost average, dollar cost average. And if you've been dollar cost averaging, I mean, you are up and you have some massive gains. And I get it that, some people then sit there and say, hey, man, like let me turn some of those gains into lifestyle credits. Let me upgrade my car. Let me pay for my summer holiday. Let me pay for this. And I totally understand this, right? At the end, you can't eat crypto, but you can eat lifestyle credits. You can live lifestyle credits. And I get that. And I think a lot of people will think this way. So it's gonna be a bit of a choppy thing here. We discussed this last week. The actual reduction in inflation in Bitcoin is going to be so minuscule with the halving in comparison to everything else that's going on, that it's way more of a narrative than actually an economic impact. And so the narrative is there. I don't think we're going to see a 50% crash here. That would really surprise me. Yeah, sure, we're going to go 10% down, we're going to go 10% up. I don't really care about that. So I don't know. We may see a new all-time high. Sure, we're gonna go to 79 or something. Sure, but that's not gonna change. Like, that's not gonna change my life. And I don't think like this 10% up. I doubt it's gonna change anyone's life. So it's more on the long term here. So that's just my expectation. I do see a bit of the bearish scenarios. I do see a bit of the. I do see the supportive side. Yeah, dollar cost average, stay on the long term. I think that's a key one. I'm on the camp. I'm not in the Jamie Dimon camp. From everything that I hear and see, I do think interest rates are coming down, not as fast as most people would like, unless we do see a recession, of which I don't expect right now. But yeah, I would be surprised if we see 8%. I mean, that would just be bonkers. I just really don't see it. Yeah, and again, I also want to state one thing. A lot of people in the crypto space, they act like Trump is their savior and he's like the best person out there ever. And that's just because I think most people are just so sick and tired of Biden. I just want to kind of highlight two things. I think two statements can be true at the same time. Biden is horrible. Trump is horrible. And both things can be true at the same time, right? And best would be to have like another candidate, I don't know, an RFK or someone who is a bit more centric, a bit more in the middle. I don't know, doesn't divide the people. I just want to be very clear on that. Yeah, just because I say bad things about Biden doesn't mean I'm pro Trump, and just because I say bad things about Trump doesn't mean I'm pro Biden. I just want to be very clear. I would actually hope that both of them are not the candidates, but I don't get to choose and I don't get to vote anyway. So yeah. Ethereum. Do you want to cover that? It's just a question here. What do we think about Ethereum? Interesting tweet series here. Grayscale came out and posted and said, "Hey, the SEC is asking for public comments. They have been asking Bitwise, Fidelity, Grayscale about the spot ETFs. Everyone got really kind of like bullish around this. Then James Seyfarth, one of the Bloomberg experts, came out and said a lot of people kind of miss judging this. They don't understand this. Public comments is completely standard, means squash it. And then afterwards, Eric Balchunas, the other Bloomberg bro, came out and said, "Hey, he actually thinks that what I don't know, I can't remember who said this. Maybe J.P. Morgan said this or someone said this, and said the more likely scenario is we're not gonna get an ETF in May. Then afterwards, we're gonna get litigation against the SEC, and then it's gonna get approved." And the feedback here, what I found was very interesting. What Eric Balchunas said, he says he's not sure Grayscale is going to sue again against the SEC because in the Bitcoin case, they were the ones suing and they were the ones who basically had to pay for everything. And then the big gains are actually coming from the ETFs and not Grayscale. Grayscale is actually losing money. So, or not, is making less money. Let's say it this way. They're not losing, they're making less money. So that was just very interesting to see a bit. Has all this changed a bit of your expectations for an ETF in May? Have you kind of shifted a bit around? I mean, that's the last kind of talk around Ethereum, and I think we both agree. Unless there's a surprise where this killer DApp suddenly pops up on Ethereum, that everyone kind of is like, okay, that's the DApp, like that's exactly what Ethereum was built for. And I don't think that is going to be meme coins. I don't think that's going to be a DEX for meme coins. I think this has to be something that really everyone wants to use, right? And I think we're still struggling a bit finding this DApp. Unless we find this DApp in the next 3 months, which again I'm not expecting. DeFi could be NFTs, huh? Let's see. But unless we find that, I think our big hope for Ethereum is the ETF. That's at least my kind of expectation. How do you see this? Has probabilities changed for you? How do you see this?
Yeah, so maybe to address the question head on, so over engineering is asking, so that means that Ethereum with the ETF bet has more upside potential. Question is not if, it's when, right? So I personally think there is going to be an ETH ETF, and I haven't changed my mind on this, that it's going to be more at the end of the year than so I don't think I would give it even an almost zero chance of this happening in May. Like it, it's going to happen eventually, I think, and probably towards the end of the year. But it's still a bet. If the ETF is announced and it's coming, especially if they can push one through that includes staking. If staking is not included, I think that an ETH ETF is not even interesting. Because why would you hold an ETF when you can make 3-4% on staking? But Fidelity already filed for an ETF that includes staking, which I think is very, very interesting. And yeah, look, ETH has been, I think, since the day of the merge, it kind of put in a local top against Bitcoin, and since then it's basically down ever since, and it's holding up at key support. If the key support that we are seeing ETH right now, let's say we go over in May, and ETH loses that key support against Bitcoin, which is
Yeah, here
zero
it's not a
point.
here it's a resistance because it's Bitcoin versus ETH. Here's a resistance, but it's
Yeah.
basically flip it around. Yeah, so here it's a resistance, but you can call it a support. I just have the chart Bitcoin to Ethereum, not Ethereum to Bitcoin. So just want to explain it for everyone watching.
Exactly. So if we are losing this support, then it's probably a buying opportunity, because then you will see a sharp drawdown. So it's 0.05 Bitcoin per ETH. That is like the level that a lot of people are looking at. And if we are losing that support, it is definitely a buying opportunity, especially if the narrative for the ETF is becoming hot. I don't. So look, I personally I like to base my investment strategies not on short-term narratives, but I like to allocate for 5 years, or even for 10 years. And if you ask me what should I buy right now, should I buy Ethereum, should I buy Bitcoin? I said buy both and hold them for 5 years and dollar cost average. Don't look for the perfect buying opportunity, because you're not going to find it. You're not going to find it. Just use your app. Do it on Bake, for example. You can buy a smart bundle that includes both, and you're getting staking rewards on top of it, and you can do it via recurring buys. That yeah, that would probably be the advice. That so look, just one side note here. I have many people in my family and friends. Some of them are completely hardcore fans and follow the news. Others, they just bought because I told them to. And but when it comes down to, for example, right now I have a few family members from Switzerland visiting me here in the Netherlands. And of course, we are talking about how the market is doing and so on. And they bought maybe in 2020, maybe in 2021, once, twice, and then they just kind of held on through the whole bear market. And I ask them regularly, did you buy some more? How are your positions doing? And usually the answer is, no, I didn't buy, but I wished I bought. And the best thing you can do is just start today and set up a DCA and don't look back. Just set it up and let it run. That's the people that do that are doing exponentially better than the ones that don't. Because if you're just looking for a buy opportunity, maybe I need to buy this, maybe I need to buy that, you're missing out on the time and you cannot predict the market. So I would just say, just today set up a DCA plan and let it run. Don't adjust, don't cancel it, set it up, don't look back, and you're gonna do fine. That's it. Yeah.
No, totally aligned on that. Do you want to share a bit about the current state on DeFi chain? I think that would be an interesting one. There was also a question here, talk about DeFi. I think misspelled, but I assume it's that question from DL. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, let me briefly first we talk about DeFi chain, and at the end I would love to answer or to ask you one or two questions about Bake and the
Sure.
current court and so on. So make sure to stay around until the end. Last week in the Twitter space and in the YouTube live, I promised that I'm going to prepare a little bit of an update on DeFi. And let me just share a few thoughts. And I'm going to be dead honest. So it's going to be a bit of a combination out of a rant and a real talk. Initially, I spent an hour or two or three browsing through Twitter, looking at DeFi chain analytics, looking at some data, picking some charts, making some screenshots. And eventually I realized, look, I can come on to this show today and I can show you 10 charts that are bullish and that indicate that everything's fine and that great times are going to be ahead. But this would be somewhat dishonest. And I know our audience is extremely sophisticated and smart, and you can think for yourself. So what I want to love to do instead is I want to be honest with you and with how the situation is currently looking like. So we basically, DFI has it. So this is going to probably take 10 minutes, and I'm apologizing for this. But the main points that I want to make is we are somewhat in a boom market. Everything is pumping, almost everything. Some a bit more than others, but DFI isn't. And of course, one of the main reasons why DFI is not pumping is we established over the course of the last 3 years, we had a lot of community DFIPs and kind of small things that suppress the price of DFI and make some trade-offs for other things. And we have an underlying issue in our D token system that there are a lot of unbacked D tokens. And I want to double down and explain and say a few things about that. We can make the conscious choice right now to basically the conversation a year ago or 18 months ago was, yeah, the next bull run will fix it. Yeah, the DFIPs that we established, they will fix it. Now that we are 18 months or a year later and we let a lot of these DFIPs run and the bull run is here, we saw, okay, that didn't do the trick. And no, it didn't. DFI price is currently low and it shouldn't be. It should be following Bitcoin. It should be following other crypto tokens, and it isn't. The algo ratio that we have on the whole DSD, it didn't decrease. It's basically still more or less at the same level that it was. And I'm going to make a dumbed down version and compare the D token system to a country. Let's say a country. So if a country is in debt, which all of the countries are in debt, and that's currently a big issue. If you look at the US, Julian and myself, we talk about that a lot of times. You have debt to GDP ratio of 130%. In Italy or in Greece, here in Europe, it's even worse. So you have 4 ways to get out of debt if you're a country. So the first way, and there is precedence to that, happened a lot of time, and it's a possible solution, is a debt jubilee. Other people call it a haircut, whatever. We as a community, we we were aware of that. We talked about that, and we decided we decided to not do that, because you basically hurt the people that believe in DFI and the USD and the D token system the most. So the people that held the bags are the people that would suffer from a debt jubilee. So we as a community decided not to do that. The second way which you can get out of it is inflate your debt away. And this is the path forward that most countries choose, because it's sensible, and it doesn't hurt as much initially. And there are ways to kind of circumvent that. The third way is you increase productivity or value. So you kind of build stuff that, uh, basically boost the GDP. And the fourth is you make a lot of kids, or in this case, you bring in new investors. And the fourth point, the problem with that is who wants to come into a D token system that has a stable coin that is not stable. Probably not a lot of people. Maybe only short-term investors that are looking to take a profit. And if you were talking about DFI, let's be honest, in crypto, people come and buy something because it goes up in value. Number go up is the thing that attracts the most people. So logically, we need to find a way that DFI basically bottoms its price patterns and starts to move. Because one thing that we have is we still have the eyeballs. Hello to all the haters out there that's gonna clip these things and probably take a lot out of context and so on. But there are a lot of people watching still. I'm not 100% sure why they are, but it's still very much interesting. It's engagement and the attention. It's a very valuable currency, and we still have a lot of engagement and a lot of attention. Some positive and some negative, but that's a value in itself. So how can we get the DFI price to bottom out and pump again? I think, I'm going to I don't say that I'm 100% right with the things that I'm going to say. I'm just going to make a few suggestions in the hope that these things are discussed within the community. And like, if we are not coming into action right now and just lay back and do nothing, the token price is going to be lower at the end of the year as it is right now. That's just, we cannot expect to suddenly that things turn around out of nowhere. And the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different results. So we're not insane, meaning we need to change something. We need to come into action. How can action look like? So in my opinion, one of the things that makes the most sense is adjusting our emission schedule because of many reasons. Our emission schedule runs out in 2030, 6 years from now, and already 90% of the token issuance has been minted. If we adjust the emission schedule and do it like Bitcoin, put it 100 years into the future, or make it more like Ethereum's, which is like a cycling emission schedule, doesn't really matter. The specifics of that don't matter, but it needs to be adjusted. I'm 100% certain of that opinion. It's my opinion, not Bake's opinion, not Julian's opinion. Everything that I say, Julian and myself haven't been discussing any of this. But if you adjust the emission schedule, you can inflate the debt away, the USD debt that the D token system has. We can incentivize pools like the Bitcoin pool, so the APRs and APIs on liquidity mining go up again, and there's an incentive for new people to come in. We can incentivize or fill up the community fund and incentivize building or marketing activities on DeFi chain again. So this would make, in my opinion, a lot of sense. And this should be the thing that most people currently should be looking at, that we have more staking rewards, more liquidity mining rewards, more emissions that we can use to funnel to the right places. Where the right places are, the community probably knows better than me. So this is one thing that we should look into. The other things that I just want to point with a thing or two without saying a solution is, I think the future swap has big issues and it should be looked at and it should be changed. I think that the DFIPs that apply sell pressure towards DFI, the ones that are buying back Bitcoin, the ones that are buying DUSD, they probably should be disabled, because if DFI rises in price, it's also going to help the USD. And these are the things that we as a community should be looking at. We shouldn't be focused on short-term things like, okay, Julian is going to buy up all the DUSD and everything is going to be great again. Bake is going to save us all, or that we're just going to wait and the bull market is going to fix it. We as a community should come together, bounce our brains and our heads together, and find it and come up with a solution. And not a solution at the end of the year. It should be a solution that is that as soon as possible. And but we need to have our attention and our brain power focused at the right places. And I think the right place is probably these things that I just mentioned. So yeah, future swap, emission schedule, and the DFIPs that are already in place, because yeah, they're not working. A lot of things that we have done have not been working. So now is the time to change. So yeah, that is a bit of the my rant and the things that I wanted to mention. Just one thing at the end here. Um, about a half a year ago or so, I saw Julian said this. I don't know. A DeFi Chain Info said this. The Robert said this. Many smart people in the community, Cookie DC, and so on. Many people mentioned that our focus should be on the meta chain, on the projects that are building there, because this is where the real value comes from. Look at what JeffSphere is doing. They have their token launch tomorrow. I'm going to shield it because they're doing amazing stuff. Team of 5 people, and they're killing it. They're going to launch their token tomorrow. If you are not aware of what they're doing, I highly recommend looking into what JeffSphere currently is up to. They have like a 3-stage plan, and it starts tomorrow. Invite only. After that, it's going to open up. They have airdrops and everything. Check them out. And there are many other projects building on MetaChain. The focus should be there. The focus should be on DFI, because if we can build stuff and make this layer as interesting and as create real utility, the underlying value of DFI will come. And in my opinion, the focus was too much short term, too much driven by external factors, like somebody's just going to buy us out, the community fund is going to fix it, Bake is going to fix it, Julian is going to fix it. This is not a sustainable solution, and it's a passive way to look at things. We should be more active and take things into our own hands. Yeah, sorry, it took a bit more than 10 minutes, but I just wanted to speak about this, and I hope it resonates with a few of you. Sorry if I offended the others that disagree with me, but it's a topic that is very dear to me, and I think there's still hope if we focus our brain power and the attention that we still have to the right places.
Yeah, no, that's I think a really good kind of overview. I think a lot of people are excited about the airdrop tomorrow. Yeah, and it's good, I think, for the ecosystem that JeffSphere is doing all this work. So that's good.
Yeah. Maybe it's also let's shift over because I would have a question that also it kind of plays a role. So people don't like uncertainty. I don't like uncertainty. Nobody likes uncertainty. We
No one
want to be
likes it.
certain of things. And one of the things that is currently a factor that is kind of uncertain is there is a public court date where you, Julian, and both the other founder of the company, Yuzin, are going to be attending. I think these things are public on a website. A judicial website in Singapore, and a court date is set for 10 o'clock Singapore time on Friday, this Friday, the 12th of April. And I know, Julian, you want nothing more than all of this being over and us finally being able to move forward. But right now we saw rumors surfacing that the 12th of April might not be the day of let's say the final decisions. Can you share anything about the court date on Friday?
I mean, yeah, sometimes I wish we discuss this stuff a bit upfront, not being put on the spot. But okay, I cannot really comment on Friday, just because, yeah, again, you're not allowed to comment on ongoing proceedings. I can only share about everything that happened so far. From my side, I wanted the courts to make a decision. I don't know, since December. We are now in April. I wanted the court to make a decision last court date. I even posted this on Twitter. I said I was ready to go. The other side wanted to wait. I want the court to make a decision on Friday. My lawyer is or my lawyers are very confident about my case and about the company's case. Sure, of course, they have to be. I would love. I mean, I really hope the judge is making a decision on Friday. So if there's a delay, then it's definitely not coming from my side. I would love a decision. Yeah,
Me
and I think
too.
it would be the best for the company. I think it would be the best for the team. And if yeah, if there's a delay, then it's not coming from me. And there's I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm not gonna comment more on it. But yeah, I cannot comment on the rumors. I don't know who talked about this or who shared this, but yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Can you maybe also share a bit of the products and features and things that we already shipped last week or beginning of this week? No, last week, and maybe tease a bit what's still in play
Yeah,
on
I
the make
think
side?
yeah. So I think a key thing. I mean, obviously, look, there's no secret that like having such a winding up application looming over you is one of the most painful things in the crypto space that you can have because people are just they're so nervous about this, right? And on one extent, I really understand it. On the other hand, sure, it's super frustrating, and I don't understand it. It doesn't matter if we're talking to our customers. I mean, that's the number one reasons. When we talk about to team members on why they're leaving, it's the number one reason. Why some team members are not joining us, it's the number one reason. When we talk to partners, to the regulator, whoever, right? That's always the thing that they look for or look at, and that's painful. And I mean, look, there's no secret. I think everyone is aware of that. And so what we are doing is we're working on things where we are in control of. And what we are in control of is building the product, building the base, building the foundation that once this winding up application is gone, which obviously I'm personally very confident about, that we can really like launch like a rocket ship again. I looking back over Q1, I mean, I think we are like as a platform and yeah, I don't know. As a platform, we are like on a really as an amazing of a foundation as we are right now. We launched basically a full exchange. I think there's hundreds of pairs that you can now go left and right. This is something that most people have always asked for. It's something yeah that I'm really excited about. We have various smart bundles launched. We had the meme coins. We had the Elite 8 bundles. We had the AI bundle. People have such great easy access with a click of a button. These are all things we didn't have before. And I mean, the uptake of that on the customer side has been fantastic, and sure, it would be even way more fantastic once yeah the winding up application is gone. We have the alpha desk with all these various trading ideas and strategies, and I would love to do way more. And a lot of these things are only possible once the winding up application is gone. And I think these are just things. Just looking at that, right? And that's just the big side. I and I assume that's what most people care about here. But obviously, we also have the Levain side with a lot of customers on the B2B side. The team has done a fantastic job. And look, the team is I get it. The team has a really hard time, and I'm so appreciative of everyone who is sticking with the team, who's working hard, who's putting in all the effort. Um, yeah, the Q2 focus is gonna be focused on the things we can control and what are in our power. And I I'm not the judge. I cannot decide on Friday to make that decision. I hope the judge makes a decision on Friday. But yeah, I'm not the judge. And I have full faith in the court system. I think the Singapore system is one of the best in the world. I hope the system acts in the best interest for the company and acts with speed and I think that's that I really hope for that. At the meantime, we're gonna focus on what we can control. Obviously, as soon as the winding up application is gone, we're gonna go into full marketing mode again. We're gonna go into full expansion mode. At the moment, a lot of these things are just not possible. We're gonna focus right now on expanding the product line, user experience. We really want to go way more for the into the trading exchange kind of route, also from the user experience, from the view side of things. There's a lot of questions on the bundles. Can people have customized bundles? The auto rebalancing of bundles at the moment, the auto rebalancing only works if you sell and then buy again. So these are just things that like can be very straightforward. Obviously, working on the alpha ideas to have some alpha desk ideas. These are just things that yeah are really straightforward. Fiat on and off ramps. These are all the things that we would really love to kind of look into, and these are things that are just a bit on hold right now. But yeah, I'm really really hopeful. The team is really working hard. It's putting in a lot of hours. I'm putting in a lot of hours, and yeah, we're just really focused and determined. So I obviously hope we can go full steam. At the moment, we can't, and once we can, we are gonna do it again. So yeah, I mean, look, fingers crossed. Mostly on having a decision on Friday. That's really the key thing, and yeah, doing our best. Really,
Cool.
I hope that
Thanks for the insights.
answers most of those things without. Yeah, I don't think I'm overstepping anything, but next time, let's prep this.
Cool. And am I right under the assumption that we're going to be back next Wednesday, like no, back to normal schedule?
Yeah, next Wednesday is just normal schedule. We just need to figure out what is the time difference. Hang on. Next Wednesday, it should be
6
same
hours.
time on Wednesday as far as I have. So for me, Singapore time, that should be 6 p.m. That's 12 p.m. for you, right? That's our schedule next week, if I'm correct.
Yes.
Wednesday the 7th.
Yep.
Yeah, Wednesday 17th. Yeah. So just so I have it correct. Yeah. So next Wednesday, 12 p.m. Europe time, 6 p.m. here for me in Singapore. I'm looking forward to that. And we're
Yeah,
definitely,
and
I mean,
just for
we're definitely gonna discuss the Friday code meeting. What we can.
the
Like, I want to be
people,
also clear. Whatever we can. Yeah.
we had a few people joining in. For example, I saw Kuki join the space, and of course he did miss my rant on the whole DeFi chain topic. And I would love, of course, people like Kuki, people like DC, people like Figo and Andreas and others that have put forth DFIPs and are like with heart and soul, sweat and blood, sweat and tears at the front lines. I would love their feedback and their insights on what's possible and what we can do. More than anything else. So, Kugi, if you're hearing me, definitely make sure to tune in about halfway through the space. I think it started about 35 minutes in, where I shared a few of my thoughts on DeFi chain, and of course everybody else. If you missed anything from the beginning, this is available: Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube, and also here on Twitter. Everywhere there is a recording, make sure to tune into the beginning as well. And thanks, Julian, for I know I've been not the nicest or more employee, and a bit
That's fine.
daring, to put it in the words of Phil. But yeah, I just feel look, it's also Julian established a few team principles, I think 4 years ago, and one of them is radical candor, meaning speaking out, speaking your opinion, and doing it in a nice way, but and I try to practice that team principle. So
That's fine. That's
thanks for
good.
keeping
Okay.
up.
No, sure. And thanks everyone for tuning in. I hope you got value out of this. It's an exciting time right now. Check us out on the Bake app, please. If you want to support us, then use the app, trade, use the bundles, use the cash flow opportunities. I hope, you can really see with what passion and authenticity we're doing all this. I wish you a really beautiful rest of the week. And see you next week, Wednesday, 12 p.m. Europe time, 6 p.m. Singapore time. All the best. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye bye.